right, so just before we talk about that street, just want to tell you about these buildings over here. That's pretty cool actually. So this land, this piece of land we are on, was owned by nuns. And nuns to pay for all of their activities, which, orphanage, schools, hospitals, they needed money. So they're going to take their own money and have these building made over here. In French, we call them magasins, entrepôts, store warehouses. So on the ground floor is the store, like showroom. Here are the things that I sell. And on the upper floor, storage of the goods that you have. The Port of Montreal is right next to us. The boats are coming with these goods over here. So they would rent out spaces, make money to pay for all the things I said earlier, orphanage, workers, and all. Today, those are mostly workspace. There's a bunch of lawyers over here. There's some startups, accountants, and all. The thing I want to talk about, the street, the large street we just crossed, the Boulevard Saint-Laurent. Boulevard Saint-Laurent is very important for three reasons in Montreal. We actually call it the main street. The first reason why it's important, it literally splits the city between east and west. We were on St. Paul Street, east or east, yeah, and we were, the addresses, they were going down, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. And then when we crossed over to this side, we are now on St. Paul Street west, and the addresses, from there they'll go up to 4, 6, 8, 9, and on. So make sure if you're going around the city without using a GPS and you're trying to find an address, make sure you are on the right side, east or west. There will be a big difference between these two things. If it doesn't stay east or west, you are on a street that's either only on one side or the other, or a street that's north, south. By the way, when I say north, east, south, and west, the island of Montreal, the way we see it like this. And actually, so when I say, oh, we're heading north on Saint Laurent, we're actually heading northwest. But to us, it's way easier to tell your friends, oh yeah, I'm heading north down on this street, and that's so we made it simple. But that's why it might seem like it doesn't make sense if you say some people looking at the sun where it sets and they're like, oh, that doesn't. Oh, it's because the map is like this. So that's the first reason why it's important. Second reason, going through St. Lawrence Boulevard, you can see the different wave of immigration in Montreal. Here in Old Montreal, French, English, Scottish heritage. Go north from here, Chinatown. Chinatown, before being a neighborhood for Asian immigrants, it was a neighborhood for Irish and Jewish immigrants. And by the way, our Chinatown is also very Vietnamese influenced. Why? French Indochina, former French colony. When the Vietnam War happened, lots of people had to flee the communist regime. Lots of them went to French education. Where can you go in the world if you speak French? Of course, France, but also Quebec. So we had a large community that came in the 60s and 70s. If you go further north, former Eastern European area, Hungarians, Polish, Romanians, there's still a few things that are related to this community out there. Keep going north, Rachel Street with the Portuguese community that came from the Azores in the 50s and 60s. Keep going north, Little Italy, Italians that came in the late 1800s, first wave from the south of Italy looking for jobs, and then post-World War II, a second wave of Italian immigration. So going through St. Lawrence Boulevard, you can observe those different waves of immigration in Montreal's history. Finally, the last reason why St. Lawrence Boulevard is important is more of a symbolic reason. Historically, mostly going back to my parents' and grandparents' era, St. Lawrence Boulevard would make a split between the French-speaking population and the English-speaking population of Montreal. So on the east of Saint Laurent, you would have the French-speaking population, and on the west, the English-speaking population. Okay? It is really a symbolic thing, because we're going to go back to an era where those two groups were called les deux solitudes, the two solitudes, meaning that those two groups would not merge, would not stay together. So in the French-speaking part, you would have their own things, their own schools, their own hospitals, their own newspapers, their own shopping malls. And same thing on the other part. These guys would not learn these guys' language, these guys would not learn these guys' languages. That's why we say the two solitudes. Things have changed a lot, and we'll talk about this at the next stop. But it is true that if today you look at statistics, where are the neighborhoods where people predominantly speak French at home? It's going to be more in the east part of town. And if you look for speak English at home, you'll be on the west part of town. And if you look at immigration, there's also shows its stats. People that came from Algeria, Morocco, Vietnam, former French colonies, there's these neighborhoods where these communities are more present on the east. And if you look at people that came from India, Pakistan, Jamaica, Barbados, west part. We're going to talk a little bit more about language and these things, those conflicts, at the next stop. So let's go towards La Place d'Armes. You're going to see the beautiful Notre Dame Basilica, and I'll tell you all about this beautiful spot.